Literary devices serve a wide range of purposes in literature. I have here other examples that are commonly used in making a literary pieces. In addition, there are classification in determining a literary devices. We have literary techniques, which includes figurative language and literary elements. One of the examples of literary devices is allegory under figurative language. Allegory is a figure of speech where abstract ideas are described using characters, events, or other elements. That's more a fancy way of saying that instead of being literal with an idea, you use characters, events, or other elements in order to describe it in a way the reader can better understand. For example, one of the most famous works using allegory is George Orwell's Animal Farm. The story is about a group of farm animals who rise up and defeat humans, but the underlying story is about the Russian Revolution. Using an allegory is often telling a darker story in a way that's easier to understand and for readers to receive. Next is euphemism. We tend to think of euphemisms as sexual euphemisms, which how they're often used. However, euphemisms are actually any terms that refers to something impolite or unpleasant. We create phrases or other words in order to avoid using the actual term because they are impolite, rude, or indecent. Those alternatives are considered euphemism. For example, instead of saying before I die, you say before I go. Instead of saying have sex, you say do the dirty. We have now flashbacks. Flashbacks in literature are when the narrator goes back in time for a specific scene or chapter in order to give more context for the story. Oftentimes, we see flashbacks in books where the past greatly impacts the present or as a way to start off an interesting note. For example, in Harry Potter, whenever Harry gets to see a memory of the past from Dumbledore or even Snape. We also have colloquialism. Colloquialism is one way to increase the world building in every books. Colloquialisms are expressions, words, and phrases that are used in formal, everyday speech, including slang. However, you can use this in two different ways. First, you can use this as slang in the real world, and second, you can even create your own books of colloquialism for the world, culture, and even writing dialogue. For example, be blue meaning to be sad. Bugger off meaning go away. Let's have now diction. Diction is a literary device that's the choice of words or style used by the writer in order to convey their message. Basically, that's a fancy way of saying that diction is the way in which the author wants to write to a specific audience. For example, I remember her hair in particular because it wasn't flick. The word flick is a slang term used to describe a woman's hair. And the last will be foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is when the author places elements within the writing that gives clues about what will happen in the future of the story. These can often be small pieces that some readers might not pick up on the first read through. They might even look back and realize that certain elements were foreshadowing once they hit the climax or big plot twist was revealed. For example, in The Avengers, Tony Stark makes a comment about one of the ship's engineers playing a game called Galaga as they all get together for the first time. The objective of the game in real life is to defend Earth from alien invaders, which is what happens later in the movie.